Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and guess what? We're on episode 11 of Dungeon Meshi. Delicious in Dungeon! And we might be fighting a dragon today on this good day. So I came dressed, ready for victory for our team. I have no clue how fighting this dragon is going to go. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see Falin because they're inside literally the belly of the beast, but I am very curious with the world building of this show how we're going to go about facing this dragon. I'm really curious. I'm super curious. And I don't know, right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I don't know if we're going to be cooking today because one, it feels like a dragon battle. And I'm like, are we going to defeat the dragon in one episode or is this going to be a two-parter? My heart of hearts is saying it's going to be a two-parter and episode 12 is going to finish it off. Also, with scheduling, I have several things going on this weekend as I'm recording, and next week, I don't know. So I'm not sure we're going to have a cooking segment for episode 11, but if we don't, we will pick back up with episode 12 with it. So don't worry too much. We'll see how this episode goes. We'll see how it goes. But I have a coffee poured. I have my war paint on. I am ready to go. And we have some comments to dive into before we start this episode. These comments are from episodes 7 through 8. So again, I'm recording a little bit ahead. But Elfreya says, I always feel bad for Marcel getting fed the liver because everything else was so much tastier. Though the liver does have properties that help the health or loss of blood, I believe. So maybe. Yeah, I mean, I love that Laios and Sinchi's heart was in the right place to give her the liver, but it does suck. It's kind of like when you're sick and you can only have like rice and chicken noodle soup and everybody else around you is having like filet mignon. You're like, cool. So I felt bad for Marcel as well. Shizulander says horses have high temperatures. So it is safe to eat them raw, but cooked horse meat is good too. I've had plenty like meatballs back in the day. I don't know. I don't know if I'd eat raw horse meat. I don't know. I'm not a medium rare person at all, or I'm not a rare steak person. I don't like my cow to still be mooing when I bite into it. No. I want to cook that sucker. And after the episode with the parasites, I'm going to be thoroughly cooking everything I eat. From now on, unless it's sushi, and then you can't help that. But yeah. So that's interesting to know about horses. I had a horse when I was a kid for like several years, but we didn't show or know much about horses. We just rode her a few times and she was so ancient that she literally could just walk, which was great because horses kind of freak me out. So my mom was thrown off a horse and I had to watch that. And I was like, Ever since watching that, I was like, I don't really want to be on a horse. So, but that is interesting. So then Swallow's Breath had two comments, one for episode 7 and one for episode 8. So for episode 7, they said that some production trivia. Falin's voice actress is the one that sings the mermaid song. So when Laios is singing, it's kind of like a brother and sister duet, which I think is really super cute. I love that. Also, I love that use of talent. Like you need a voice actor to do this one song for one episode. And they're like, hey, you can sing. Get in on this. And so I think that's really cool. And then for episode 8, they said almost the entirety of Marcel's encounter with the Undine was animated by Ichigo Kano, who's a bit of a rising star over at Trigger Studios. He's appeared on the show before. In episode 1, he animated the dragon fight. And in episode 3 with the living armor, which was kind of his baby. He storyboarded it, provided animation for it, served as one of the correction animation supervisors. His style is all over it. Yeah, and honestly, the flashback scene where Laios goes into like the trippy, like, the fudge is this? Like that scene, that felt like the Undine battle, the same style of animation, so I could totally see that. The sequence of the guys catching Marcel and then running away was animated by Kai Ikarashi, who used to be the rising star at Trigger and is now more of an established mentor figure. I kind of love that. I love that. I love when animators get to put their stamp on episodes and get to do key animations for specific episodes. I think that's really cool. I like that it kind of gets to be their baby and they get to do it. My brother showed me a while ago. It was like the animation of a certain scene, and I couldn't tell you what show it's from, but it was like the entire animation. Maybe it was Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It feels like it was Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Yeah. But it was basically this one episode, and it was done in all different styles, and these different animators did a bit of each episode. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, I would honestly watch an anime if it was a story and each episode was from a different animator and a different style altogether. Like, it's the same story, same characters, same through thread, but each episode is animated in a different way. I think that would be so neat. It would be costly and very time consuming, but I think it would be amazing. And so, studios, if you ever want to get on that, I'm here. I have ideas. But yeah, so thank you all so much for the comments. There were a lot of other comments. Those were just the ones that stuck out and had different trivia and things that weren't talked about in the episodes themselves. But I really appreciate it. I'm super excited for this episode, y'all. I don't know how we're defeating a dragon, but I'm really excited to see how it could go down. So we'll just have to see, won't we? But we're not going to waste any time. We are going to dive right in to episode 11 of Dungeon Meshi, Delicious in Dungeon. And we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And I'll see you all on the other side. Okay. Okay, and the elven writing. Okay, cool, nice. We're going to be super focused because we're rescuing Falin. Good. Okay, I love her side braid. Don't jinx it. Ooh. Very true. Don't jinx this. Why do y'all jinx this? To say Falin. Why they all jinxing it? Why they all jinxing this? Why is every anime being like, this is a flawless plan? Stop. Just be like, I wish there'd be an anime where they'd be like, we're going to fail, but we're going to try really hard. Like, you know, expect the worst, hope for the best. That's what we need. We need that mentality in anime. Oh my gosh. I am really excited though. I want to give a special shout out over to Edgar, who has been super helpful. My internet has been out for a while now, and they've been helping getting me the files so that I can react and not have to worry about using a hotspot with one bar. So that has been super helpful because I've been worried about streaming and buffering and all that. So especially an episode like this, right? Especially an episode like this. So I'm super excited that Edgar was able to get me this episode. So thank you. I don't know if this will be a two-parter or not. My heart is telling me it will be, that we're going to get to like where we think everything is going to go all right. And then things are going to take a turn for the worst. But maybe we'll wrap up this episode in one go. But if we're looking at two cores, I just feel like next episode would be episode 12, which is the halfway point of the season, which would be, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to make any more predictions. We're going to see where it goes. Okay. Yeah, the lion with the wings. So yeah, there be the dragon. Clever girl. Oh my god! I love it. Sounds kind of like a taiko drum. How could it not notice you? I love where's its wings. Does it not have wings? That's like a T-Rex! Oh, I love the shot here. Nice. Nice tracking. This feels like Jurassic Park. Oh, nice. Oh, there we go. Uh-huh. Holy shit. Oh! Oh, you'd be sweating, sweltering. Oh, nice. Don't jinx this! Oh my god, no, because it's a cooking pot. It is hot. Fudge. Muffin. Oh my god. Ah! Of course it's hot! Yes! Well... Oh my god! Chill Chuck's like, I didn't believe her from the start. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, Marcel! That's adorable! Oh my god. Well, about that. Oh my god, they can't move! Yeah, they can't, she can't hear them! Oh, did we do it too soon, though? Did we do it too soon? Oh my god. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, but now what? Did it work? Did it work? Shit! No! Why? Why? Oh my god, Marcel! Oh shit! Oh my god. Shit! Not good! Laios would be amazing in Jurassic Park. Can we have that edited? Oh my god. Oh my god. Kinsuke, no. No, Kinsuke. Fuck. No. Bitch, why? Damn it, Kinsuke. Oh my god! No! You bastard! Oh my god. Ah! Oh my god! Oh my god, I'm being insulted in a strange language! Oh my god. Nope, let's not do that! Oh my god. Oh! Oh! Nope, that was a bad idea! No! Our only weapon! Well, you still have Kinsuke. Oh my god, Senshi! Oh, Senshi, you're sacrificing it? It's not gonna do anything, is it? Mithril. Oh, hi, Lord of the Rings. How you doing? She could have killed him for it. Look at that. But you've got to get under him to stab him. Why would you do that randomly? No, get it out of there now. Oh my god, get it out of there now or you're going to lose it. Why would you not just, why didn't you wait till you got under it to stab the vital part? Laios! Well, I love her twiddling the staff. Oh my god. Yes, and that won't be good. Won't be good. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, Sinchi! Sinchi! Oh my God! No! No! Of course, Chilchuck would be the one! Grab it! Oh my God. Oh shit! Chilchuck! Oh! Oh, bitch! Oh my God, Kinsuke! Stop it! Oh! Oh! Oh my God! Oh shit! No! Of course, the two that care the most about Falin. Well, they could be dead, but at least they're unconscious, so maybe it's not the only option. Laios, in every horror movie, you don't go upstairs. Oh shit. Oh. Oh. Right. Okay. You have an idea? Yeah! Get it, sister-in-law. In-laws working together. Let's go. I love the armor pattern. Okay. Good job, Marcel. Lift off, baby. Oh my God! Did you become Erwin Smith? Oh, pull that out. Pull out the knife just in case. Oh shit. Oh, Laios. Oh. 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 Oh my God. Oh. 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 Oh my God. Oh. Ooh. Oh, Lio, sweetheart. Oh. Oh, honey. Oh. Hmm. Uh, wow, and the clothes looking very. Oh my God! Oh shit! Oh. 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 Oh, Falin. Oh. Interesting. Oh, Falin. Interesting. Is that their dad? Oh. Ooh, girl. Ooh, girl clairvoyant. Ooh. Ghost magic. Aw. Oh, and that's when she was gonna go. Her little nods. That's so cute. Aw. Aw. I love all of this. This is so cute. Lyos has been into the talking dogs for a while. Oh. 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 Yeah. Oh, like her blood all over her hands. I was like, I saw the horn. No, of course not. Yeah, good. Oh! Well. Oh, wow. Interesting. I like that world building. Oh my God! Ah! Ah! I'll heal on my own. Oh my God! Oh, oh my God. Wow. Rigor mortis set in. That is wild. That is wild, y'all. With the scar. Well, yeah. Yeah, I thought this would take until next week. No, literally all of them were needed. Are y'all jinxing this? Is the dragon really dead? Oh. Love that. Yeah, what about the sword? Ooh. Is this gonna be weird? Yeah, it's a lot. Well, right. Okay, we're gonna carve this up. Oh my god, that's a lot of meat. That's a lot of meat. There. Ooh. I love her hair's up now. Like, could you imagine the smell of this? Could you imagine the smell? Oh. Oh my god. Just pull out the stomach. Oh. The fact that it's really morbid that there could be just like bones. Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Oh no. Oh, Marcel. Maybe Falin got out without being ate. Is it the liver? Oh. 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 Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. Well, um the question is it Falin or is it not? Or did Falin escape and is okay? Interesting. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Okay. I have some thoughts and theories, which we'll have to talk about in this episode, but I don't think we're cooking anything this week. I think we're going to take a week off. We'll probably pick back up the cooking segments next week, right? All right. I have lots of thoughts, but this was such a good episode. Yay! Yay! Oh my gosh. V for victory? What a twist, huh? Ooh! I loved this episode. episode so much. This episode was so much fun. I was here for it. But I didn't bring Whiteboard Coon out this week because I was like, I want to talk through the episode. There are some things that obviously it's like, my biggest thing is this Falin that we find with the skull? Because the hair, I mean, it's possible that in the esophagus, in the area where the fire breath is, you know, in the throat, there's obviously the hair could get stuck down there like a hairball, right? Which from the dragon having Falin in their mouth, sure, you could go that route. But is the skull actually Falin, or are they going to resurrect the skull and it's going to be somebody else? I think it's the latter. I don't think Falin's in that dragon. Now that we've had the episode, I think Falin escaped somehow. And I have a theory about it, but we're going to talk about it in this episode. I don't think Falin was in the dragon. I think Falin got out and there's somewhere else. And this episode with her telling Laios to move on without her lends to that theory. And we're going to talk about that. But I think that when they resurrect the skull, it's not going to be Falin. It's going to be somebody completely different. And it's going to be like, womp womp, what do we do? And then the mystery is, well, where is Falin? And why are they not with them? And we're going to talk about that in this episode because clearly Laios and Marcel are deeply attached to Falin. Why would they not want to be with them? And we're going to talk about that in this episode. But man, what a group effort. One thing that I really love about this series is the fact that everybody in the party pulls their weight. There is nobody just hanging out, not doing anything. I think of Berserk because during an early arc in the series, there's a band of characters. They're all working together and everything. And for the most part, they all do kind of have, it reminds me of the Berserk Band of the Hawk little bit scenario, but there is one character in that just doesn't really do anything. And so they're just kind of there. And a lot of anime and a lot of stories have what we call in literature as a colossal protagonist. It's a term coined by Shakespeare based on Greek plays where it talks about the colossal protagonist. And in a lot of Greek plays, the colossal protagonist was a larger than life figure that encapsulated the entire play, and the play kind of revolved around them, and the other characters were just flat side characters. And Shakespeare kind of took that concept and ran, because a lot of, I tell my literature classes, when you think of plays like Macbeth or Hamlet, for example, sure, if you're a big connoisseur, if you're a big nerd with Shakespeare, you probably remember Romeo and Juliet. You probably remember Hamlet. You probably know Macbeth. If you're really into those stories, you might know Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. You might know Ophelia. You might know the families that are battling in Romeo and Juliet. But for a common everyday reader, when you mention those stories, are they going to tell you those names? They going to tell you names of the witches? Probably not. Because Hamlet, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, they're colossal protagonists. And Shakespeare kind of coined that, and really in Western literature coined it and made it a thing because it was easy to remember, right? And a lot of stories have those same type of things. You have one main central character and then the other characters are there and you may remember them, but they're not on the same pedestal as that central character. And what I like about Dungeon Meshi, Delicious in Dungeon, is that that's not the case. Everybody pulls their weight. Everybody is a key central figure. These 4 individuals are all pulling their weight. They all get pretty equal screen time, and they all have focus on them, which is really fun. And I like that. And I don't know how Falin, I wonder if Falin realizes they're kind of a colossal protagonist and they need to exit the equation so that the others have a chance to grow. And we'll talk about that in this episode. But we're not cooking this week either. We're going to take a week off. Last week we took a lot of time making that meal, getting ready for the dragons. So we're going to take a week off, let our stomachs settle. Our stomachs are going to be as empty as the dragons this week. And then next week we're going to come back and cook, hopefully. I've also, there was not any cooking involved in this episode. So we're going to take a week off and rest after a long journey and a long battle in this. But from the get-go, what I really need are anime characters to stop jinxing themselves, and I need anime to stop making me nervous and creating extra unnecessary tension by being like, this plan's gonna go perfectly fine. And I'm like, no! Every time a character's like, this will be all right. I'm like, you've just jinxed it. It's not going to be all right, but okay. And I know that the series do that by design. They do it to make you, because you know the trope at this point, and they're going to make you nervous, being like, oh, something bad's going to happen. Something's going to go wrong. I love Marcel's hair in this episode. I love how she has it up when they excavate the dragon carcass. And I love that she has it like in the little side braid to keep the hair out of her face. Also, you know what? The one gnome was getting on to the elvish writing for looking crude. I think it looks freaking cool. You can make a tattoo, like a band tattoo, out of this elven language here. But I love that Marcel is so dedicated because she loves Falin. She wants Falin to be okay, and she wants everything to go right in this. And I love that is her central focus, which is wonderful. Right. So I love that for Marcel. And I question whether Falin is like, are you guys going to grow as individuals if you're focused on me the entire time? And maybe Falin doesn't mean that for Marcel, but maybe she means it for Laios. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it as we go through this. But we'll get past the OP here. I feel like next week is going to be the last time we see this OP, because everything that's happened in the OP has kind of been explored. And I have a feeling, as most modern anime do, that we'll have two cores. So we have two different OPs, two different EDs, which is fine. But I feel like it's going to change after next week, which is okay. So we've been focusing on these lion statues with the wings for quite some time. It's in the OP. It's connected to everything. It looks like a chimera. I don't know what to do with that. So I don't know what we're going to do with that. But I wonder, see, my theory is that Laios and Falin are related to the king. My theory is that they are related to the king, that they're related to that bloodline, or they are descendants of that bloodline, whether they realize it or not, and that this whole symbol of their family and everything is going to keep coming back. I feel like that's the case, but I don't know what to do about that. I do appreciate that Laios, I appreciate a lot about Laios in this episode. I appreciate how resourceful he is. I appreciate how everybody in the party respects him, even though Chilchuck wants to throttle him now. Because he didn't tell him about Kensuke, which we'll talk about. But I appreciate Laios' tact, his dedication, him like self-sacrificing to defeat the dragon to get to Falin. And if anything, at the end of the day, if anything, even if they didn't rescue Falin necessarily, they did stop this dragon from terrorizing the dungeon. So that's something. And honestly, when they started carving up the meat out of the dragon, all I could think about was Oregon Trail, which is a computer game from the 90s where you literally, if you're from the US, then you know the Oregon Trail. It starts in the Midwest and it takes to the state of Oregon that's at the far west coast. And in ye old pioneer days, the big thing was that settlers and pioneers would travel along the Oregon Trail to get to Oregon. And so it's a very revisionist, whitewashed history, of course, for a computer game, but it was made for grade schoolers. So, you know, it was just meant to, and it was basically to teach you in the game about resourcefulness and strategy, because you had so many bullets in your gun to kill bison and rabbits and things to eat. You could only take so much food in your wagon, and your wagon couldn't be too heavy, or it couldn't cross rivers, or you'd have to try to go around rivers. It was all a game about strategy and survival, and how would you get from point A to point B in the most efficient yet less risky way possible. And so it was a really good game. But also along the way, if you didn't take care of the people in your wagon, they could die of dysentery or stuff like that. So, but the moment they started carving up the dragon, all I could think about was, in Oregon Trail, you could only have so many pounds of bison, otherwise your wagon was too heavy and you couldn't move. And they'd be like, oh no, you've maxed out. And as a kid, I'd be like, but I'm going to need this. My salted bison, I'm going to need this for later. So I imagine, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of waste with this dragon, because there's only so much meat they can take with them, since she can only carry so much dragon meat, and they're going to be eating dragon for the next 3 months, possibly. But if you think about the ecosystem and how much Senshi has kind of talked about that in this series, then there is a very good chance that other critters, other travelers will come and see this dragon and partake of it. I can only hope that maybe Marcel would do like a giant salt spell on it. So after they get all the dragon meat that they want and they go on their merry way to do whatever, to go resurrect the skull or do what they need to do with it. My only hope is that Marcel casts like a little spell to salt the dragon meat so that other travelers, it's not wasteful and it's not like diseased, that they can just pick it up, make jerky out of it and go. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but that's what I would do. Surely if you can use magic to walk on water, can you salt meat with magic? Why not? But I really love the opening, them hanging on the pots and pans. It felt like drums, like Japanese drums to signify the start of a ceremony or the start of this battle. I really liked it. I liked how every item that was at their disposal was used in this episode. The utensils, the pots. They did lose a pot though, unless they go back and find it. Maybe they'll go back and find it. But the pots used to get the fire breath, and then them realizing, oh wait, we've been cooking with this, so of course it conducts heat. And then the cooking knife. I thought, honestly, that when Laios got that cooking knife, I thought he was going to thought he was going to throw the knife at the dragon's point to kill it. I thought he was going to reach up and stab it right there, and the blood was just going to like cascade down on him. I thought the kitchen knife was going to be used to actually kill the dragon and not the sword. But it wasn't. The moment he just stuck that in the foot, I'm like, why would you do that? But at the end of the day, Laios, as resourceful and on it as he is, he still has his moments of like, oh, bop, boop, boop, did that. Okay. But I also loved our three guys roaming throughout this city trying to lure the dragon, and they had a solid plan, but then they had to adjust it because they realized that they left the pot behind and they couldn't go down one certain way. But I love how Marcel was able to adapt in that moment. I feel like that was really important, that she could adapt and be like, okay, well, now we're doing this. And then, of course, because the dragon hadn't expelled all of its energy, chasing them around as much as they wanted to, it wasn't weakened enough and exhausted enough that when the building fell on them, it was still enough energy to rise up and do that. Which, the animation in this episode, oh, especially when Chilchuck and Senshi go for the sword, oh, that was just so good. That was so good. And it felt like the same animation style as the guy that did the Undine battle and that before. That was amazing. I loved that so much. But again, Laios and them being resourceful. I love that Laios is capable of being, he's still my favorite. I love me this golden retriever energy that Laios gives out. And what I love about Laios is that he's very quirky, but he's also, he's smarter than he looks from the surface, but the other characters in his party understand that he's smart and they respect him and they treat him like, yeah, they don't put him on a pedestal, but they definitely are like, yeah, we can definitely do this. I love that about him. It's great. I also love that Chilchuck is in the middle of them without his hands up. Like, really? The dragon was pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. What a fearsome opponent. I did not know how we were going to defeat the dragon completely from the end of it, but I love when they're trying to, oh my God, when they are going after to catch up with Marcel and explain to her that plans have changed. One of my favorite parts about this episode is when she's trying to be like, what? I thought you guys were going to split up. I thought you were going to do this. And Laios and them are trying to tell her in the moment what's happened, but because there's running and there's debris and everything happens, she can't hear them. She's like, I can't hear you. There are certain parts of this series that, because of the fantasy elements, because of the resurrection magic, because of all that, they are fantastical. But then there are other parts that are so realistic that, like, yeah, how would you hear it? I always think back to Attack on Titan. There's a scene in Attack on Titan very early on in the first season where there's a character up on a precipice that's literally like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet above all the people down below. There are no microphones. There is no megaphones. There's no way they're amplifying their voice, but they just shout down and everyone on the ground can hear them. And it's the one moment where I remember in that season, and this was years ago, it took me out for a second because I was like, they can't hear a word he's saying. And it just took me out because I was like, that's not realistic at all. So I appreciate that this series goes for the realism of, yeah, no, she wouldn't be able to hear a damn thing they're saying. So, and I'm sure somebody in the comments will be like, well, actually, here's how you would have been able to hear them. And I'm like, Attack on Titan's been done for a while. I do love the animation of when Marcel is like, when the building starts to crumble and Marcel starts to levitate and gravity kind of like for a second it doesn't like work. That part was so cool. I love that so much. And then them all realizing, oh yeah, this dragon still has energy. Not good, Cotton. And then God, there were so many callbacks to Jurassic Park in this episode. Mm-hmm. I loved the dragon with like the velociraptor with like the eye looking over Clever Girl. Even though we found out this dragon is a male, alpha dragon here. But also whenever Laios was just sitting still and he's like, don't move, Chill Chuck. Just don't move. It's fine. It won't attack us if it can't see us or sense us moving. And of course, Kinsuke is the sword that's moving because it's freaked out from the dragon. Or is Kinsuke freaking out for another reason? Is Kinsuke like there's something else that's causing it to freak out? That's another thing. We don't know. But I kept wanting someone to do an edit where Laios is inserted in Jurassic Park. I just need the 1993 Jurassic Park where the T-Rex comes through and like looks and starts chasing Dr. Grant. I need Laios edited in instead of Malcolm running away from the dragon. I need that. Someone get on that, please. I don't have the editing skills, so someone needs to do that. And Kinsuke jumping, like, why can't we have nice things? Why can't we have nice things? Kinsuke jumps away from Laios. That is the one aspect where I wondered if something else was causing Kinsuke to react, because it's like, you literally just jumped away from the dragon, but then again, it was right out from under the dragon, so it makes sense why it happened, but I'm like, and then Kinsuke sticks to the, it seems like Kinsuke did a defense mechanism where it's like, I can't stick to you, Laios, because you're likely to be eaten by the dragon, and that will include me. But I can get away from you and stick to the ground, and then I'm probably not going to get eaten because the dragon won't care. So it was like a survival instinct, self-preservation moment. But damn it, does it come at the wrong time? Because Laios could have used that damn sword and ended this battle a lot quicker. But that is not what happens. And God, I cracked up so hard with Chilchuck and him going under the dragon, and Chilchuck's like, are we gonna be stuck under this dragon crotch forever? I love that in this series, even in these moments where the battle is so intense and it's so crazy, that Chilchuck, they all bring the humor and levity when you most need it, which is absolutely wonderful. I freaking love it. Cinchi, though, make it be known, Cinchi, no character in this series is perfect. Every character, well, maybe except Falin, but we'll talk about Falin. But of the four characters we have, they all have flaws. Chilchuck can overreact and get hasty and also underestimate things. Laios can get distracted and get obsessed with monsters to the point where it's a detriment. Cinchi is an amazing cook and super highly resourceful, but Cinchi knows nothing about weapons. Cinchi is not a weapons person at all. They're like, because they fire the axe. I'm sure Namari is like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, you know, like Cinchi is not a good weapons person. So that is reflected in that moment, right? And Marcel gets frazzled and has a limit to their magic. But I thought it was so impressive that Cinchi's like, I'm going to donate this knife that's made of mithril. If you don't know about mithril, I know about it from Lord of the Rings because I'm a big Lord of the Rings buff. I love Lord of the Rings to pieces. And it is basically the metal and stuff that's used in armor that Frodo and them wear in the first one in the mines when the troll and everything is battling. And it's basically very, 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 very strong. And it's like an elven material. It is nigh indestructible. And I'm like, oh, how cool. I love mithril being in a knife. That's really cool because I'm used to seeing it in armor. So I like it being in a knife. I also love Chilchuck being like, Chilchuck with Cinchi this episode, if you are shipping Cinchi and Chilchuck, you are very satisfied this episode, I am sure. Because there were lots of moments I was like, oh, you get that shipping in, show. Give me that Chilchuck Cinchi shipping. But I love that Chilchuck looking at Cinchi like, you're giving up? Like when Laios takes the knife and is like, okay, I guess I could use this. Chilchuck's expression as he looks at Cinchi is like, you're giving this up to like your prized possession. You're sacrificing it to kill the dragon? Because we've seen how Chilchuck, you know, how mad he got when they used his tools to like carve out the crab or whatever from before. And so he's like, I'm like, you could just see Chilchuk kind of being in awe that because Sinchi's usually very adamant about, you don't touch my tools, you don't touch my hair. And here he's like, no, we need to stop this dragon. So I really liked that. So yeah, then the dragon comes in and they try to like get away from him. And I love the world building. I love the world building aspect of the dragon has to click its tongue to get the fire igniting. Like, I love that world building. Like, the explanation of why things happen and how the powers work. Like, that's so cool. But yeah, since she's like, I'm going to sacrifice to get that sword. And him telling Laios in that moment, because Chilchuk's like, what do you mean you're going to sacrifice yourself to go get it? And Sinchi in that moment saying, look, here's what we got to do. I want to get back to get those screen, to get them. What does he tell Laios there? And because we have all the monsters in that moment. And then Sinchi says, what does he say there? Where's my subtitles? Give me the subtitles, mother trucker. There we go. I was like, I need these subtitles to see what he's telling him. Laios, do you understand, don't you? Among all the monsters you've eaten so far. And we can see the mandrakes, we can see the frog, we can see the mushroom, we can see the kelpie. I could just see this in the manga being shown. Was there one that didn't give their utmost effort? I love that. I love that Sinchi talks about how he's like, look, these monsters are giving it all for survival. We have to do the same. It's a dog-eat-dog world. If we don't kill this dragon, it's going to kill us. If we don't eat this dragon, it's going to eat us. So we're going to have to take some risks and gamble some things so that we can survive. And I'm like, that's so freaking cool. And then the animation as Sinchi goes to get the sword. Oh, it's so good. But notice as he goes to get the sword, y'all. Notice as he goes to get that damn sword that Chilchuk is right at his side. First thing to be like, you okay? And I was like, uh-huh. I see how it is. I see how it is. And then he sees the knife sticking out to get the knife over to Laios. I love that. I love also, not to get the knife over it, but Chilchuk taking the knife and throwing it into the dragon eye. Oh, and again, Sinchi uses his durability as a dwarf to go get the sword, knowing if he gets crushed down by the dragon leg, it's probably not going to kill him. It's going to hurt him a lot, but it's probably not going to kill him. And then Chilchuk taking the knife and chucking it into the eye of the dragon. Chilchuk has worked with knives. He's a pickpocket. He's a thief. He can throw things. It's using their skills in the moment where it makes sense for their character, where it makes sense for what they're doing. I just absolutely loved it. And then Laios getting the sword. I love that moment. I want to get a picture of Laios grabbing Kinsuke to get it. It's so good. But of course, Laios meets back up with Marcel because Sinchi and Chilchuk get surrounded and closed up by... I was actually okay with them getting buried by the rubble because to me that was like, okay, if they're buried by the rubble, we know the dragon won't care about them once it thinks they're dead. It just is like, whatever. So if they're buried by the rubble, chances are the dragon will ignore them and go after Laios and Marcel. So I was like, okay, well, they're probably okay. And then when Laios said that they're unconscious and Marcel's like, what do you mean? He's like, it's not the end of the world. I thought that was okay. I was like, all right, we're safe for now. Okay, good deal. But it makes so much sense that Laios and Marcel are the last two to face the dragon because they have the most emotional investment in fighting the dragon because they care about Falin the most. Like Chilchuk has said, he's just doing this as a job. We all know he's a little bit more committed than just as a job, but he won't admit that. And since she doesn't know Falin, so since she doesn't have as much of an investment regardless of what he says, so it makes sense for it to be Laios and Marcel at the end. I also kind of love that Laios has the pot as the shield and has Kinsuke the sword. It looks very knight. It's a very knight in shining armor sort of moment. and Marcel is the mage with the staff. It felt very old school fantasy, which I like a lot. But them working together, and of course, they have the most investment in saving Falin, which I felt like it was very appropriate for them to do. And of course, Falin's freaking out because she's like, we have to rescue, or Marcel's freaking out. She's like, we have to rescue Falin. What are we going to do? And that's when Laios is like, look, I'm going to have you blow me up. And Marcel's like, wait, what? He's like, I'm going to have you blow me up to the dragon head. I've got an idea of how to reach the scale. Let me do it. Trust me. And what I love is that Marcel does trust him. She believes like, okay, this sounds crazy. I don't know how to take this, but I feel like I can trust you. Okay, let's go. Let's do this. Let's see what happens next. I loved it. And they established that it's not the same magic as what she used in the water walk, but I just, from here on in, the latter half of the episode, I loved it so much. I love this entire episode. Every scene was really good. And then what do we say? What do we have here? He gets shot off. He gets shot off by Marcel to go up there to the dragon, saying, I got this. We'll make it work. But he shoots up towards the dragon. I love it. He looks like Erwin Smith in that moment. Did anyone else think that? Speaking of Attack on Titan, did anyone else see Erwin Smith in this moment? If you've not watched Attack on Titan, you will not know who I'm talking about. But when he gets catapulted towards the dragon, he looked like Erwin Smith. I'm just saying. It's the blonde hair. It's the face. I really thought he was going to grab the knife out of the eye of the dragon and stab it, because my biggest fear at this point in the episode was that Kinsuke was not going to be strong enough to stab the dragon. I thought the twist was going to be the dragon was going to get stabbed by the... When it paused and there was a little moment where nothing happened, I was like, oh shit, the sword isn't going to do anything and he's lost a leg. What are we going to do? And then it was just like a delayed reaction. But I thought he was going to have to use the knife in the dragon eye to stab the one point. That's what I thought was going to go. But Laios don't work like that. He's going to work with that sword. Trust and believe. I'm glad that they have healing magic in this series, because these characters, they got roughed up pretty hard in this battle. And I love Laios being like, it's going to be over in an instant if I don't act quickly, despite how I'm hurting. And when he says it's not a big deal, and he literally sees his sister in the maw of the dragon getting eaten. He's like, if my sister can go through that, then losing a leg's not going to be a big deal. He's like, especially when compared to seeing my sister being eaten by the dragon. I love that fire in his eyes. I love Laios being fierce. I'm like, yes, please. And he's like, to Falin's pain. And of course, Marcel's freaked out because Laios shoved his leg in the dragon's maw to distract the dragon while he stabbed it, to give him that leverage. I freaking love Laios. Laios is my favorite, because in that moment, he's like, my pain in this moment is nowhere near my sister's. Or is it? Or is it? We don't know. We're going to talk about that in a second. But in that moment, he's like, my sister suffered so much. I can suffer this little bit to save her. And I'm like, he's too perfect. Laios is too perfect. He's so good. I love him so much. But yeah, he's like, shit, this hurts a lot. And I love Marcel and them going into sepia tone. Oh, oof. Good thing you cut off right at the joint, right at the knee. Glad you got that out. And then he looks over and there's the spot. I love it's color spotted. The one weak point of the dragon. And it looks like a V for victory, right? Love it. Did he also tie the sword to his hand? I feel like he did tie. Yeah, he tied the sword to his hand. Maybe it was because his hand was burned from the pot, or it could be so that the sword didn't fall out of his hand. He didn't lose it when he was, blown up towards the dragon. Nice. But that's all it took. I'm actually surprised they found his leg and reattached it. I'm like, girl, did you clean off the pebbles and stuff from that? As you reattached it? Did you do that? But what a moment of Laios killing the dragon. That is crazy. So, okay. Let's talk about the past. This series is very close to the vest with its world building at times. And at times it's very much like, oh, this is how it is. But at times they don't tell us a whole lot. And I feel like that's very intentional. And I'm excited about that. But I have couples of theories based on this flashback with Laios. What I really like about the flashback is that Laios, he is surprisingly a lot more composed and mature as a kid than I expected. I expected Laios as a kid to be a lot more like head in the clouds, aloof, kind of like just staring off into space. No, Laios is pretty much like he is now as an adult as a kid, which is interesting. I like that. But he's very hyper focused. And then their clothing. Their clothing is interesting because it feels very cultural. It feels kind of Norse to where they are. And he's like, I heard there's a ghost at the graveyard. Don't tell Dad or anyone else. And she's like, okay. And they're like, whoopee! Like, they're just like these kids. So, is their dad one of the lords of the island? Kind of like the lord of the island that Tasu talks to? I don't think it's the same one, right? I don't think it's the same lord. I wondered a couple things. The show is intentionally trying to throw us off about Laios and Falin's origins and about their lineage. They are intentionally trying to throw us off because so far all of the tall people that we've seen roaming around this island are blonde. They are blonde and have similar eye colors, and I'm like, bitch, you are trying to throw us off to not let us know who is Laios and Falin's parents. How dare you, show? They're intentionally trying to throw us off the trail. I wondered if there were, because this doesn't seem like the island lord, like the more tropical region, or maybe just because it's like winter to spring and it's just the time of year it's happening. I wondered if maybe there are multiple lords of the island and they're all related and they're all descendants of the king, and they just, the different brothers and sisters have split the island up, and Laios and Falin are descendants of one of them. Are Laios and Falin descendants of the lord we've seen talk to Taru before? I don't know. We go to this graveyard and Falin is adorable. I actually love her with long hair. Her with short hair is really cute too, but I love her with long hair. She looks really pretty. And then Laios as a little kid is adorable. And when he throws her off, it's not that he's being mean to Falin, but Laios is being very practical. He's like, I can't walk if you cling to me like that. And I love that she just kind of like goes after him, which is super cute. But Laios' clothing as a kid is really interesting. It makes them look like the wealthier kids in town. They don't look like peasants, right? They don't look like peasants. They look like they're folks that got some money around them. And he's got the little stick sword. He's like, there's not even a single bug here. And when he grabs the ghost hand, of course, Falin's like, you know, that's a ghost that you're touching, which is super creepy. And it's the ghost of the man that was recently buried. Now, the man had a ring that was given to him from an elf that had some magic to it. So maybe it was cursed. I think that's interesting that that's what cursed him. And we have the ghosts like what we see in the dungeon, which is curious, right? We see the ghosts. It's the same kind of ghosts that we see in the dungeon. Luckily, Laios didn't die. That's a good thing. But Falin ends up bonking him and saving him in that moment, as the people arrive just in time to see Falin save her brother. Yeah, and see all the peasants around, they're not nearly dressed up as nicely as Falin and Laios are. And then she looks over and points to the grave and says it's because of the ring that he got. The ring's bringing back his soul. Now we see the guy here that is Laios and Falin's dad that looks a lot like Laios and Falin. We don't see the mom yet. But I'm very curious. I don't think he's the lord of the island. I don't think he is. I'd have to go back and rewatch episode 10 to see. I might do that before episode 12. I'm going to go back and relook at the scene with him, but I don't think that's the case. Although their hair color is the exact same as Dragal from the portrait. So, are they all related? That tis the question. Tis the question. And I think it's clever that they give a lot of the characters the same blonde hair and the same kind of features to kind of throw you off and make you question whether or not they're related, because I watched some other anime that the moment you see a same hair color, you're just like, oh yes, of course they're related. But here, there's a little bit of mystery there, right? He used to boast he had a golden ring from an elf. And they're like, well, Falin, how'd you know that he had that ring? You're incredible. Falin is kind of a prodigy, which is interesting to me that she's a prodigy. She reminds me as kind of a colossal protagonist. And she seems, in that moment, Like she picks up on stuff that other people are not. That she has this talent, this skill. Now, I wonder, in my theorizing, if Falin is this prodigy, because we saw her at the magic school kind of be the same way, because when the stuff reacted and Marcel noticed it, and Laios is like, Laios is also freaking adorable, saying you have a knack for ghost magic. He's so cute. Adorable. Little golden retriever child. So cute. And he says, don't let it bother you. Grown-ups are just scared of magic, because the people kind of freaked out that she knew all this stuff about the man and the ghost without any foreknowledge. And I like that Laios tries to help her, be like, hey, people are just, a little prejudiced about what they don't know. Like, ahead of his time. He's like, you should go study magic. I love that Laios instantly, he's like, you'd never be out of a job. And she's like, what kind of a job? And I love that Laios in this moment, he's trying to help his sister not only feel included, but also giving her ways and outlets for her talents. Like, that's so sweet. He's like, oh, and her little nod when he's telling her all the jobs she can have, and she's like, He's like, you could be a priest or a gravekeeper or travel as an exorcist. And she's like, these two kids, they're so adorable, so cute. One thing else too is something else I've been curious about their upbringing and about the world building is Laios goes to be a dungeon crawler, but he's trained like a knight, sort of, and she goes to study magic. Usually if your parents are, it definitely lends to the idea that they're not royalty in this context of where they are. If it's interesting, because if they were the Lord of the Island's kids, you would think that the Lord of the Island would want to keep them like as his heirs and as characters that would need to stay on the island and take over the family business and do something like that. We don't know if they have any other siblings, but it seems to be just the two of them. But the fact that the dad has let them go do whatever is interesting. Or maybe the parents died or their village got destroyed and then they went on and did their own thing. We don't know that yet. So, but I'm curious, because usually characters whose families are in wealthier or more established status positions don't let their kids just go off and do whatever. They usually have like an established path for them. So I don't know. Maybe their parents are not the lords of the island. Maybe their parents are just commoners, but they were dressed pretty fancy, so I don't know. But again, the story's not giving us all of its cards, so we gotta wait and see. But Laios and Falin are freaking adorable as children. They are so cute beyond measure. And I love when Laios says you could travel to foreign countries and help people in need. And she says, that sounds fun. And at first, because Falin has been traveling with her brother, she asks if he'll come with her. And he says, oh, of course. And he's like, what country do we want to visit? I love the perspective of his hand. His hand looks so huge as she reaches out and grabs it. Like, it doesn't look like a kid's hand. But I love that at first, when she's a kid and Laios is explaining all of this, she's like, well, we could go together. We could do these things. We could be together as a pair. And then that changes. She's like, I'd love to see the sea or a desert. And they're like, well, I love Laios says there's even a country for talking dogs. And I'm like, Laios has been obsessed with these kobolds since the beginning of time. No wonder he instantly recognizes them, right? And then she says she wants to go there and is kicking her feet. But then when it shows them later on as adults, she says maybe we shouldn't travel together anymore. And her hair's cut and she's a mage and all of this. And she's like, maybe we shouldn't go together. And Laios is like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, why not? And she doesn't exactly say, but she says, you don't have to worry about me. And tries to run off. Now, obviously, Laios convinces her to travel with him, but it very much feels like the reversal where suddenly Falin doesn't need Laios anymore. And maybe Falin realized several things. Maybe she realized that Laios trying to be protective of her is holding her back. Maybe he realized that. Maybe she realized that about the situation. Maybe she realized that she has this strength or power in her that could eventually hurt Laios or cause others to hurt him, and she didn't want him to suffer and she wanted to help him. Maybe she realized that they need to separate so they can grow stronger, and he's too dependent upon her and she is not dependent upon him. I definitely feel like Falin has realized something about her and Laios' relationship and about herself that has lent to the idea that I know I was following you all this time, but now I don't want you to follow me because you're holding yourself back. And it's causing more harm than good. But again, this series is keeping its cards close to the vest, right? Of course. But yeah. And then he wakes up and poor Marcel doing some duty work in this, getting these guys out and getting her hands all bloody, like fixing his leg and everything. I love that we see Sinchi's horn from his helmet. And she's like, I really need to work on my defense magic more. As they're sitting there, Sinchi's got his eyes open like, bitch, what? Now, I do like the world building where we talk about Speedy. Again, this series reveals things to you in small doses. It gives you a concept, and then you wait a couple episodes and it expands on that concept, which I really like because it gets you to want to keep watching the show to get answers, which is great. And the show will give you answers if you are just patient with it, which I can be patient. I can do a slow burn. I can be patient. But I like that we introduced the concept of healing magic. And as we've slowly gone along the series, we've talked more and more about the resurrection magic. We've talked more and more about healing, but we've also talked about how the world building works. So here when she heals Chilchuck and Sinchi and Laios, they're like, oh, I feel awful afterwards. It's like a hangover. And she's like, yeah, the price of speedy recovery magic is that it's going to hurt for a little bit afterwards. Also the idea that since she's a big softie and he's like, I don't want to feel pain. I'd rather heal. He gives very much dad energy, and not just daddy energy, because I know y'all are thinking that, but dad energy as like, oh, I'll heal slowly. I don't want to do it. It's like, you just don't want to feel the pain in that moment, sir. What? It was really cute. I also love that Chilchuck's like, I hate every second of this. And then Laios having the knee scar is kind of cool. I like that. He's like, we were just a bit too naive. I like that Chilchuck's like, I haven't forgiven you, but I was curious because when Chilchuck went to grab the sword, it was stuck to the ground as Kinsuke, and Chilchuck's like, the fudge. So I feel like in future episodes, Laios is going to have to come clean about Kinsuke and the living armor and explain that. And be like, but guys, it's my pet. It's my little pet Kinsuke. And they're going to be like, really? So I'm waiting for that moment to happen because I know Chilchuck's not going to let him live it down. But so cutting through the dragon, it's going to be a lot of work to get to the stomach. There was a lot of really cool features in this scene. One of which being the idea of not only them having to cut across the different pieces of the dragon meat and setting it down and doing whatever with it, but when they're going through the tunnel to get to the stomach of the dragon, can you imagine they talk about the heat, which I really like, talking about the heat and how hot it is, and since she compares it to the mines, can you imagine the smell? If you've ever been around an animal being processed or an animal having an autopsy of it, we used to have, like, my parents raised pigs, and if a pig got sick and died, and because they were all kind of in close quarters, if one animal got sick, a lot of the others would get sick, and so you'd need to diagnose it and treat it very quickly. And so we would have a vet come and do an autopsy of the pig and say, okay, here's how it died, this is what caused it, so that you would kind of know to prevent it from happening in the future. And just the stench of blood, of coagulated blood and everything as you're cleaning it, or if you've ever skinned a deer and dressed it, which my family's done when we deer hunt, the smell of blood, I cannot imagine going through a corridor of just raw meat and blood and the smell of that. That is just so pungent. I can't, it's one of those things you watch it on screen, you're like, you can smell it. It's like, but I didn't know how they were going to do this scene because they get to the stomach and the intestines. I was like, are they going to cut it open and a corpse is just going to fall out? I'm like, are we going to go that morbid? Are we going to do that? Are they going to cut something open and it's just going to be Falin's like half decayed body come out? I did not know how this was going to go. I was like, are they going to just find bones? Are they going to find like hair? Are they going to find a foot? I was like, an eyeball, which the eyeballs would go first. But I didn't know how they were going to do this. So when we get the skull at the end, I'm not surprised, but I fully thought when they cut open that stomach, a corpse was just going to crawl out. I was like, nope. I am a little bit curious though. The reason why I don't think that skull in the esophagus is Falin is because, one, we don't see the other bones. Two, I feel like there would be other traces. And it just feels like a red herring because this series likes to do red herrings. It likes to make you think something's going to happen and then it doesn't. So as soon as they didn't find her in the stomach, I was like, oh, she's never been there. She got out. And now that we've seen where she really didn't want Laios to be with her, now the sacrifice she made in episode 1 makes it seem like you were trying to find a way to let Laios go on without you. Now, is that right? No! Why would you do that to your sibling? And why would you do that to Marcel, who clearly has a thing for you? But I'm sure Falin has a reason. But I feel like now, based on this flashback with Laios and based on how episode 1 went, I feel like Falin took the opportunity to be eaten by the dragon as a way to let Laios go. To be like, okay, now you go do your own thing. You and Marcel, you don't need me anymore. Now, is that unfair to Laios and Marcel? Absolutely. And I feel like when they find Falin, they're going to be like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Do you know how it felt for us to lose you? There's going to be that communication that's going to happen and be addressed. But I feel after this episode that, yeah, Falin took the opportunity to let them get out of the dungeon, to go, does Falin know things that we don't know about the dungeon, about the mage and everything? I don't know. Has she learned things from the other creatures in the dungeon we don't know about? I don't know. We're just going to have to see, aren't we? We're going to have to see. But I'm really, really interested in knowing what we get with her character now that we know what we know about her. And I don't think that skull's hers. I think it's somebody else's. I think they're going to resurrect the skull and it's going to be some rando and they're going to be like, where's Falin? And then we're going to have to go, which I actually really like because when we saw the dragon last episode, I was like, okay, we're going to face the dragon in episode 11. I thought it was going to carry over into episode 12 and be a two-parter. And then we're going to find Falin and resurrect her. And then what do we do for the rest of the season? But no, the fact that we haven't found Falin, that this might not be her, gives us a trajectory for the second half, being like, okay, we defeated the dragon like we set out to do, but now what do we do about Falin? So good job, show. Good job for creating some tension and mystery, you know? But Laios and Marcel's reactions to Falin not being there, that's why it irks me a little bit if Falin left them, because I'm sure Falin meant well, but I'm like, girl, like Laios was heartbroken when he didn't think that you were there. And Marcel was like crying because she realized Falin wasn't there. And it's not because they went through all this trouble to kill the dragon and she's not there. It's not that part. It's the fact that they wanted to find their sister and friend and she wasn't there. So I'm like, I'm kind of like, Falin, you don't realize how much they care about you, or even if you do care, like you need to be seeing this. So I'm very curious what we're going to get with this. I also like Chilchuk like doing. So there was all these teeth and bones from other creatures that were in the spot in that organ there. And then Laios on the little piece of stone seat. And then yeah, him seeing Falin and being like, is this my sister's skull? I don't personally think that it is, but I may be wrong. The show may reveal that it's Falin and she gets resurrected next week. I don't know. I actually don't know if she will get resurrected next week, if I'm being honest. I don't know if that'll happen or not. I feel like they're going to have to do something with the dragon meat. Then they'd have to go find somebody that could resurrect them. And then I feel like I don't know if we're going to get a resurrected Falin next week. I don't know if that's going to be the case. But I personally don't think that it's Falin, but we'll see. We shall see. But I loved this episode. This episode was such a great embodiment of them all working together. I'm super excited to see what we get next week. I love the world building and mystery that is developing in this series. I am super excited. So we're going to take a break from cooking this week. I'm sorry, but we don't have any dishes to make, but that's okay. We'll see what happens next week and if we have any as well. So it actually worked out because I was going to be gone this weekend for a trip with the team I coach. And so I was like, I'm not going to have any time this week to cook. And next week is kind of going to be busy catching up with other shows. So this works out actually quite well to watch it this week. The stars and the dragons aligned. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode reaction and discussion. I am curious to know your thoughts down below, but I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back real soon with more delicious in dungeon. Bye.